Hello, Miss Markeisha.
Hello.
And
Hello.
welcome to Faith-Filled Mom's Night In. It's Tuesday night. It's our night.
Mm, mm, mm. And I'm fresh from New Orleans.
Girl, tell me about it. So what happened in New Orleans? I want to share your good news with all of our guests tonight.
I pledged a military sorority. I am now
Yes.
a wonderful, great soror of Xi Gamma Phi sorority, military sorority
Congratulations.
incorporated. I am so happy and excited to be part of it. I'm wearing my beads that are in the colors of our sororities, metallic silver, royal red, and white.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell
Okay.
you how I got these beads, but
Please don't.
I will
This,
say
this is a
this.
Christian show. Look.
Yeah, this is a Christian show, and so I can't tell
All
you
about
because
inspiration tonight.
you won't let me. But I will say this: Nola owes me nothing. You
I'm
hear
glad
me?
you had a
Hey,
good
I think I
time.
owe New Orleans something.
I'm so glad
Stop
you had a
playing
good
with me.
time.
Oh,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Congratulations. I know.
Wonderful,
So
wonderful
over
time.
here, we had a great weekend. So those that may have followed, my husband's team won the state championship, Group 3
Yes, I
champ. So
saw
it was just
that.
amazing game down to the last second. So throughout this, I think the last 2 weeks, I've been missing playoff games. They played every Tuesday, and I've been missing games
Yes.
Tuesday. And I would kind of stream and watch and then kind of get anxious, like, no, I gotta get my mind right. I gotta go online and share and encourage. So tonight the game was at 7. So it's been on for an hour.
How they doing?
And
How they doing?
we're just gonna pray that they come through. We're gonna pray the second half.
But
We
you
are
know
going
what?
to
It's going.
pray.
That's one of my founders is on there. I'm sorry.
Oh, no
Greetings, Madam
problem.
Founder, Quiet Storm, Miss Shantae
Hello.
Corcoran.
Sante, thank you for joining us. And Sheena Marie is on as well. And Tamika,
Tina.
our faithful Tamika, our slower Tamika Taylor.
Hey there,
Welcome and good
girl.
evening. Thank you so much
Yes.
for joining. Yeah, so I just like last week was the sectional championship, and I got a bunch of texts after the texts after the show, and kind of I was nervous, and then I saw that they won, and I went back and watched it. So tonight I'll do the same thing. I hope after the show I have good news on my phone, and either way I'll go back and watch the game. But it's been quite a ride, and I'm so proud of my husband and
Oh,
the
yeah.
Woodrow Wilson basketball team. So I got to give y'all a shout out
I feel like
for
that's
that.
a whole Cinderella story
It is.
right
We called
there.
David and Goliath. We've been saying David and
Yes,
Goliath.
that's
But
right. That is exactly what you would
tonight,
say.
they're really Goliath. They're huge. They are
Oh,
they are huge. And
big
my husband's
team.
team is more guards. They are a smaller team. That's why they've just been surprising everybody. But this team,
Mm.
yeah, so we're praying that they're gonna come out
It's
okay.
gonna happen. We're
Yeah.
gonna touch and agree on that one. We're gonna
Yes,
touch and
yes.
agree.
So tonight we have another guest. So we are in this amazing series that is like none other that we've had.
Yes.
It's for mothers that have lost a child.
Hmm.
And last week was my mom. My mom was guest, and I had people. When I tell you that night, the next day, all week, people have been coming and texting and messaging about last week, just how amazing it was. And I know that
It
tonight
was.
is going to be
It was.
another, just
Mama
amazing
may
story.
crash the internet.
Yeah.
Mama may crash the
Mhm.
whole internet. Was like I was like I can't get these comments
Yeah.
up fast enough
So y'all
because
bear with us, yeah, because
yeah.
we missed,
Ooh,
and we went back and we read comments to her. So if you made comments and we didn't have them up there, we did stay on because she's not that always on technology. So we did read all your comments. So if you did comment,
mhm.
we did let her know.
Made me wanna. I called my father after this. I was
Yes,
like, I love
yes,
you.
it does. It just makes you, you just value life. You
You do.
value,
Amen.
you just never know. We were after the game. We were actually sideswiped by a tractor trailer.
I
And thank
saw that.
God, for our angelic protection, our angels there. We
Yeah.
were, my husband got control of the car, and we were, fine and handled that with the police and everything. But it makes you think. Like I literally was when we got swiped, I was waiting for the car to spin out. Like you see it on
Mm.
movies and things like that. I'm literally waiting for this to happen, and it's just like it could have been in that split second that you could be out of here, you could be going,
Mhm.
and that just makes you value again just life, not only our lives, the lives of our family, our friends. This whole series is just it just makes you remember, just make sure there's nothing too bad that you cannot go and forgive someone for, to repair relationships for. You don't want to be standing over a coffin and have those regrets of I should have done this and I should have done that. We have to really cherish every moment we have. And that's one of the things, even when this is bringing out of me, it's just God is good. He is sovereign. We learned that last week. He is sovereign.
Yes,
and no matter what he allows to happen, we have to just value the days he gives us with every loved one he gives us, and then trust his plan, whatever his plan is.
And I think I've said this before. That's the recurring theme of this show, is just trust and I mean, it sounds so cliche, right? Let go, let God.
Yeah.
But that's really what you got to do.
It
You
is.
just got to trust.
And I'm gonna spend every week encouraging women to, and not even women, whoever joins, whether it's moms, women, men, whatever, just encouraging them to trust God.
Amen.
So I think you're gonna like tonight's guest. Okay, number one, she's a soror, so of course. But as I was preparing, I brought this with me. It says Tanya's prayer box. She gave this to me the night she crossed into Delta Sigma Theta, and I have my prayers here. And I was going through, and even one of the prayers that literally a year ago, I wrote this. It wasn't the night she crossed, but it was after she crossed, I want to say. But when she gave it to me, I remember writing, and I have dates in here, and I was just going through some of the prayer requests. So she gave me little slips to put in there. And so if you missed Markeisha's, when she was my guest, her scripture and her story was remembering to just put your requests, instead of worrying about them, put them in a box and giving them to God. So we talked about Philippians 4:6. Yes.
Anxious for
Do
nothing.
not be anxious or worry about anything, but everything in prayer and supplication. So prayer and supplication, put in your prayer in your box.
And close that box, right? Keep that box and don't open it. Sometimes we want to open up the lid and look in it, but we can't. We can't, because it's done and it's complete. And that's been a recurring theme, I feel like, through everything. Even when we did our infertility, when we did our cancer series, when we, did our adoption series, our blended family series, that's really been the recurring theme.
Yes, it has. So I am going to welcome our guests. I think I've covered everything. Again, if you are joining us, please say hello in the chat. Let us know where you are joining from. We would love to just say hello to you. Andrea Nicole is on with us.
Sheena Marie.
Yes. And our wonderful producer, Shira, I think we said hello as well.
Yes.
And Sandy Cassie. So Miss Sandy is, and I think she was on with us last week as well, a very old friend of my mother's. And she actually lives near our guests for tonight. So I know they're good friends as well. So Miss Sandy, thank you so much for joining. Yes, and Jerrice is here. I know she missed us last week. So hopefully, Jerrice, you got a chance to watch Mom's video. And we're so happy to have you back. And everyone who is here, we thank you. We're going to get into our session because we've been running over every night because it's been so powerful.
And talking and just so excited. Let me tell you, I'm over the moon.
All right. Well, you go do what you do. I'm going to say goodbye to you. And I'm going to bring our guest on. Good night.
All right.
Take care. So I am going to bring our guest for tonight, Miss Jerrice Moore. Hi, Jerrice. Were you just with Markeisha? Look at y'all in the same house.
We just switched.
Y'all, yes, I just did a switcheroo. Y'all in the same house. I just did a switch there. So hello, how are you doing tonight?
Good. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Okay. Thank
I'm
you so
good.
much for joining us. You look amazing.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. So I want to just do a quick, brief introduction. I'll have you do it. I'll share. I met Jerrice through a mutual friend, Melanie Belgazaway, and Jerrice just wonderfully gave up her time and effort to teach my daughter how to high jump. I remember, I remember Kai was very little, and he would have his tricycle. We would be out in the track, and you were teaching her how to high jump. Would not take any money or anything, just coming. So, hi, Dallas. I see Dallas is on. That's another mutual friend of both of ours. We used to run track with Dallas. So, hey, Dallas, thank you for joining us as well. Miss Annette is on also. So,
I'm sorry.
Jerrice. No, go ahead.
Can you see this? I also have my prayer box.
Yes. We got our prayer boxes. So if you don't have a prayer box, you need to go ahead and get yourself a prayer box. Again, Philippians 4:6. What we stand is we try not to worry about anything. Anything we're worried about, we have a prayer box that we are putting our prayers in. It says, don't worry. everything prayer and supplication. We give our request to God. And then we put it under our pillows, under our beds, somewhere that we're going to leave it there. We're going to let go and let God.
Yes.
We are going to let go.
Yes.
So thank you for that. Thank you for the prayer box. Thank you for just the years of friendship, the years of prayer. And thank you especially for coming on tonight. As long as we've been friends, I had not heard your story. You know, and so me, sometimes, especially if someone has a death or something, you know, major in their lives, a lot of people, times we just don't ask. If someone doesn't bring it up, we just, you know, don't ask. And I knew what had happened at a high level, but I did not know the details. So first of all, thank you for tonight coming on and being transparent and being vulnerable and sharing your story. I know it's going to bless others because it blessed me reading that. But if you don't mind, again, before we get started, just kind of give a hello to everyone, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Yes. So I am Jerrice Moore. I am a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur, a business owner, mentor, a real estate agent. So my husband and I are real estate agents in the Keller Williams Washington Township office in Sewell. We're a husband and wife team, Moore Homes Realty Group. So we are also investors. We're landlords, generational wealth builders. I'm a soror. And an avid home goods shopper. I really need to probably buy stock. I stay in that store. It's terrible. And I love to start a good home project. Sometimes they get finished. Sometimes they don't. And a friend.
Good. You're an amazing friend. So
thank you.
You're an amazing friend. So we had some people coming to say hi. Nathaniel Gary is on from Washington Township.
Yes.
So that's close to me. I'm in Woolwich. So welcome. And then we have Johari Sykes is on. She's in Jersey. And then Carolyn Shores is also saying, hey, LS. So hey Soror, how are you? So Miss Cerise said she is going to get a prayer box as well. So yes. And it could be a shoe box. At this point, if you have a shoe box, it doesn't matter. Just get a box. Get some paper and just write whatever it is as you're writing it. Let that worry, that fear, that anxiety, whatever it is that is holding you captive, write it down on your paper and just whatever your prayer is to God, I want you to do, and just put what the word says you're petitioning God. So you put on the paper just what it is you want God to do.
And it's amazing, Tanya. Also, you know, the stack that I have in my prayer box, sometimes, you know, when you forget, it's just amazing to go back and look at and see how many prayers he's answered. And then when you go, this has been taken care of. Thank you. You know, it's amazing. I love my prayer box.
And you want to get to the point that you don't need to track it. You don't need to follow it. Okay, it's in my box. I'm going to go ahead and go on about what I'm supposed to be doing. And God, I'll leave it up to you. However you're going to do it, whenever you're going to do it, however you're going to do it, I trust you enough that I will leave it in this box until you respond in however you respond.
Yep.
I think we're done for tonight. I think we're good. That's it.
That's it. Just put it in the box.
So your license to Beezy is on. It says hello as well. So hey, Beezy. So we're going to learn a little bit about you tonight. So first thing we always do is get to know our guests, is do like a would you rather, kind of this or that. So this, I know you're a foodie. So I kind of a foodie edition for you. So you all can play along if you're watching online with us. So I'm going to ask you questions and you give me your response. So would you rather cook an intimate meal for two or a family spread?
Intimate meal for two.
Okay. You doing 5 courses?
I would do that.
Yeah.
I would do that. I got away from the family stuff. It's just too much.
Yeah.
Too much. But I like the intimacy.
Good. All right. Do you have any answers there? I didn't see any response. I know we have delays here. So next thing, this is a hard one for me. Would you rather give up cheese or chocolate for the rest of your life?
I would say, which one would I give up?
Yes.
I would give up cheese.
Would you? I would give up chocolate.
Oh my goodness.
That means I can't have pizza anymore. Pizza's my favorite and I have to have pizza. So
I'd be a mean person if I had to give up chocolate.
I like vanilla. I could substitute chocolate for vanilla. So
no, it's not the same. Olives, nope, I don't like it.
So we have chocolate. Everybody's saying chocolate. We're cheese. We like cheese. We want our cheese. Andrea said both can go. She said, So T's giving up cheese like you. So you got one vote on your side, but the rest of us were So we have some intimate meal makers as well. So I think I would too. I think I would like to do an intimate meal. Having multiple things in the oven different times, like the Christmas meal, stresses me out. It just or Christmas Eve for me, but it stresses me out. It's too much timing. You know, this and that and whatever. It's a stress. So.
But I'm good at that. It's just that I don't have any help. So it's just me. But you know what? I prefer to do it in the kitchen alone anyway. So if I have people in there, it just
in your way.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah. So
that's right, Mandy. Cheese. Get rid of the cheese.
Y'all don't eat pizza. Nobody eats pizza. How are you going to do that? You can never have a good slice of pizza again if you give up cheese. So we never give up cheese ever. Okay, next. Would you give up cake or ice cream for the rest of your life?
I could not give up cake. I don't think so.
Me either. I've given it up for the year. I have not had a piece of cake since January, and my plan not to have it for the rest of the year. It's just a fasting thing for me, and I have been tearing up some ice cream though, and I don't. I'm not a big ice cream, but I have been tearing it up this year because that's my. But my perfect dessert is birthday cake, vanilla cake, buttercream icing with vanilla ice cream.
That is
and
good.
You make sure every spoonful has the cake, the icing, and the ice cream. There's nothing better. There's no dessert better than that.
That is good. I'm with you on that one. High five. Yep.
So we have cake. People are y'all giving up cake, or you want cake? Okay. Yeah, we're not.
I don't understand.
We need our cake. Okay, next one. Would you give up salty snacks or sweet snacks?
I would give up salty snacks. I'm a sweet, I like.
So no more potato chips, no more French fries.
Yeah, I can do without. I love the sweets. I don't know. That's probably why I got this extra belly, but
I love them too. So,
but yeah.
Okay, we're getting a mix of sweet and salty. Sharice saying neither. She's taking a both. She's not giving up nothing. She's like, I'm having both of them. Okay, this is an interesting one. What is your preferred potato type? Baked potato, fried potatoes, or mashed potatoes?
I love French fries. I'm gonna have to go with the fried potatoes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But I like my breakfast fried potatoes, hash browns, or I like that kind of potato as well. So
like a home fries?
Yeah. That's my favorite way of I like roasted potatoes too, but I didn't have that as an option. But I do enjoy a nice roasted potato with the skin on with a crunchy, bite. I do enjoy.
Okay, so I think I answered that wrong. I would not give up French fries. I'm
asking for your favorite. What was your favorite?
Okay,
so you said you answered it right.
Yeah,
you answered it right. So we have mashed potato. Depends on the meal. So Tamika Roebuck, that's good. What are you eating it with? It depends on the meal. We have our shells said fried. Paige said definitely mashed. So we have a nice variety of palettes on our show tonight. So this is our last question. And I don't know, I'm trying to think what you would say for this. Would you give up fish or chicken for the rest of your life?
I don't eat chicken, so that's
okay.
Easy.
So I don't eat fish. So I said that was easy for me. I didn't know. So you don't eat chicken, so that's easy. I don't eat fish. I'm like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. I just give up the fish. I don't eat any seafood at all. So
are you allergic or?
No, I just don't like the taste. Never have.
Oh, never okay. That's a shame.
And it's because I don't cook it for my family. They would, I just don't cook it because I don't like it. I probably should start.
But it's funny. I still make chicken for them. It's just difficult, I don't taste it. I'm like, is it good? And they're like, yeah. So it's a hit.
So do you just not like the taste either? You don't enjoy the taste?
I just stopped eating it for health reasons. Like a couple of years ago.
But you eat red meat though?
No red meat or pork.
So what meat do you eat? Turkey?
I just eat fish, and I do still eat turkey.
Okay.
Fish and turkey. That's it.
Okay. I like it. All right. People are giving up more chickens. We see a couple of fish, but more people are giving up chicken.
I don't eat chicken. I thought I would never be able to say that.
No, fried chicken, yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, that was fun. It was good to get to know you better.
And I love food. Yes, I am a foodie.
Yes, you are. You are my foodie. And Jerrice makes me. I didn't get one this year, but
oh my goodness,
she makes these amazing cake balls, and mine is the Andes candy. And I've had it every birthday. Probably the last 5 years, and this year. It was just too much, and it's okay. And now this year, I don't even eat cake, so I can't get one this year because I'm not having cake this year. So you have it for me January 1st, 2023. I'm going to ask you to have it.
Okay.
my cake wall at midnight, wherever I am for the new year. You just be there with my cake wall.
With your cake wall. Okay.
Yes. So Sheena Marie said, your food is the bomb. It really is. She cooks even for, I remember for doing Daniel fast cooking for me. So you are an amazing foodie. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into, we'll get some deeper questions now. So I want to know, what is your favorite scripture and tell me why?
So it started off one and then it changed to another. So I would say Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you hope in the future. And then I would say recently it has been Esther 4:14. Perhaps this is the moment for which you have been created. Okay. And I was in my favorite place, Home Goods. And I walked past the office area, and there was this little placard, and I picked it up. Probably can't see it, but I was just like, what does that mean? And then I was in Hobby Lobby and I saw this little, it's on a string, but it's supposed to hang from somewhere, but it's in my car on the license plate thing, and it clicks when I'm driving and I don't even notice anymore, but it's the same verse. And I take that with me. And it drives with me everywhere. But then
what does it mean to you? What does it mean?
I went to go see Esther too at the
Sight and Sound.
Yes. It was amazing. It was amazing.
I haven't seen it. I missed that one. I did not see it.
I take Kai to those plays. We've seen a couple there and he loves it. Yeah.
Yeah, we've taken the girls too. I've been probably the last 5 years, but just with COVID, I didn't go for this last one to see Esther. But, I wound up crying by the end of each time. We get the soundtrack every time. We're singing the songs in the car. We had the whole experience. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So next, do you have a favorite, like maybe a book or a poem or devotional or some type of reading that really helped you get through during the loss of your son? And we'll get into that obviously in your story as well. But was there anything that provided you encouragement that you'd like to share with us tonight?
Yeah. So there was a female that I met during 2011, and she had shared with me, I would say in 2012, it's an excerpt from a book that someone I guess had sent to her, but it talks about the truths about grieving and it's different things. So I'll just give you an example. One of them says the truth isn't that one person can bear this alone, and then it has a paragraph and explains why that is true. Okay. But the one that stuck out for me is the truth isn't that God must be punishing you for something. And then it says, the truth is that sometimes these things just happen. They have happened to many people before you, and they will happen to many people after you. This was not an act of any God. It was an act of nature. It isn't fair to blame God or yourself or anyone else. Try to understand that it is human nature to look for a place to put the blame, especially when there are so few answers to the question, why? Sometimes there are answers, most times there are not. Believing that you are being punished will only get in the way of your healing. So that really stuck to me, because I remember through the course of grieving, feeling like I'm being punished, or this was something that I did, or even questioning why.
And I bring up even again last week of, the sharing of sovereign, God being sovereign. And it's so deep where, like you said, some things God doesn't cause them, but he allows them.
Right.
In his sovereignty.
Right.
He allows things to happen and we don't know why. We may never understand why, but I think that is really one of the tenets of Christianity, is living by faith. Yep. And walking by faith, not knowing why, and really having to learn to be okay with not knowing why, because you're just living by faith. And you're like, I'm serving you, God. And in my serving you, I will trust you.
Yes.
I have to make a decision.
Right.
Just to trust you.
Yes. And I've had people say that to me. I remember specifically this guy I used to work with at the mortgage company. He said, God allowed it. And it just went through me when he said it. And I was just like, you're right. He did. Like this is happening to me for a reason, period. And I have to be okay with that.
And I think it's natural, even when my brother passed and you hear other stories, you say, God, but you could have stopped it.
Right.
And we know you were capable of, you could have, but for whatever reason, you chose not to.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to make a conscious decision that I'm either going to accept that, trust you, and try to move on and heal from it, or I can remain stuck.
Yep. And I didn't want to be stuck, but I don't remember ever saying, you could have stopped it.
Really?
I just was in business mode.
Mm-hmm. That was your protection. That was
my protection.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I go. Business mode.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to get into it. So my last question before we jump into it, and I always ask my guests, if as a thank you, because I'm not big like that yet, but we're going to believe God, one day I will be. If I could gift you as your thank you for joining me tonight, I can fly you somewhere, anywhere in the world, round trip, first class. Where would you go?
I would go to a no-name island, like a Gilligan's Island.
Okay.
I'm not a person, like a water person, but I like to hear the water.
Okay.
I don't want to be in it.
You won't get in it. You'll just look at it.
I just want to lay on the beach, not in the sand, something down. And I just want to hear it and just sleep. I like that. That is relaxing, a calming noise for me.
But with no one else around you. You just want to be by yourself.
Well, I need a chef. I need
a chef and a butler. So you want a private house on a unmanned beach with just a butler and hopefully a dinghy to take you back to the mainland.
Right.
Okay. Yep. All right. I'll remember that. Okay. I'll try to make it happen one day, maybe.
Thank you. Gilligan's Island. Please and thank you.
So let's go ahead and thank you first of all. It was very good to get to know you better and just to enjoy that part. I know it may get a little heavy as we get into this, but I want to just go ahead and open this up in prayer and then we'll get into your story. So dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for tonight. I thank you for Jerrice. I thank you for every person who is on this stream with us live tonight and those that will join us in the future to hear Jerrice's story, God. We just pray that our words would just bless someone, touch someone, encourage someone, heal someone, God. We pray that everyone leaves here just a little bit different than the way they joined us tonight. So bless this conversation. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so you wrote your story. So for everyone, Jerrice's blog will be coming out tomorrow. 2 websites because we're transitioning. My original website is Destined, 4, the Dub. So that's the original site that I started blogging on. And then kind of my faithful moms took over that. And so I haven't blogged since I want to say May. So I'm taking back over my Destined for the Dub. I'm going to start blogging again next month. But we have Faithful Moms now. So Faithful Moms, we have all of our stories since September. We have autism, we have cancer, infertility, stepmoms, adoption. Each month we've had a theme, and so we feature their stories. So if you've missed any of those, please go to thefaithfulmoms.org and you can read those stories. And if you know another mom or another person that is struggling in any of those topics, we just encourage you to share those websites with them. The stories that the women have shared with us are really powerful. And then again, we have the videos and their written blogs as well. So please go ahead and you log on to there and you can follow that and you'll get Jerrice's blog first thing in the morning. And then you'll get all of our guests going forward. So Jerrice, and then if you know someone who you think would be blessed by Jerrice's conversation, go ahead. And if you're on Facebook, you can go ahead and share this as well on your page and just invite others to hear what I know is just going to be a powerful story. So this story starts in 2011.
Yes.
And it kicked off in a major high, right? Talk to us about the onset of 2011, what was going on in your life and kind of just take us from there.
So I have a culinary arts degree from the restaurant school at Walnut Hill College, right there in Philadelphia. And I've always wanted to own my own restaurant. I had like a little catering business with a business partner of mine. And then I started doing, little things for friends and family and things like that. So I thought, why don't I attempt to open up a restaurant? And Jabbar, my husband, has always wanted to own a bar. So we had an opportunity of running a kitchen in the beginning of January of 2011. And I was that type of person. We just kind of jumped and did it. We had a little bit of a business plan, kind of, sort of, some money saved up. So we just kind of jumped in it and did it. Now he has a full-time job. I I was the chef. He doesn't boil water. I thought that was a good idea at the time. And so we just had like friends and family support us during the beginning of the restaurant. That really was it. So it was a very exciting time. I remember just being so excited and how, this was going to do very well. And we'll just kind of figure it out. And then I guess we signed the lease. And then about 2 weeks later, I found out that I was expecting. But I said, you know what? I'm young. We can figure this out. Let's just keep going. How exciting. And then 2 weeks after that, or about 2 or 3 weeks after that, I found out that it was twins. And I remember sitting in the parking lot, like it was just bittersweet. It was, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. Oh my gosh, there's two. What are we going to do? We just like literally signed the paperwork on this. But I figured, I'm still, because I was an athlete, I'm still in the mindset, we got this, it's
Supermom, yeah. Strong Black woman. You can handle whatever.
All of that. All of that.
And so you're pregnant and a restaurant owner and really, you're on a high, for all this and kind of just really anticipating everything that's going to come. And one day you're on a family outing. And this is kind of the first of a number of trials that you really do experience and go through. But talk to us about that day at the museum and kind of what happened and how you encountered your first, I think, trial of this year and this experience.
Yeah. So I have a stepson, Haj, and they are 10 years apart. So we had taken Haj to this museum in Philadelphia. It was me, Jabbar, and Haj. And I remember, walking down the street and then going up the steps and just feeling a little lightheaded and a little winded. And I just kind of figured, I'm getting out of shape already or something. It didn't feel right, but I just kind of chalked it up to pregnancy aches. And then we had gone up and down the steps. And at one point I got to the top of the steps and my heart started racing. And I was like, oh my gosh, whoo. And, I just kind of sat there for a little bit. They kind of ventured off into the museum and I just kind of left it there. We walked back to the car and I was still kind of struggling with the breath, but didn't think anything of it. And then the next day I went to work, went to the restaurant, and I was talking to the two staff members and one of them said, you're out of breath. And I said, you know what? She said, you need to call your doctor. And I said, you know what? Maybe I should. So I called the doctor and I told her, I left a message saying I was having issues breathing. And she called me back and she was talking to me. I'm just having a regular conversation and I could really hardly catch my breath. It felt like, somebody was going like this over my mouth. And she said, you know what? I need you to go to the hospital, the ER right now. And I said, what? I said, I'm in the kitchen. Lunch is about to start. I can't go to no ER right now. What are you talking about, lady? Like, no. And so she said, absolutely not, go. And it was at Cooper. So it was just a couple of blocks. So I actually walked. But by the time I got to the light, it felt like somebody had two rags in front of my nose and I just could not catch my breath. So I called Jabbar and he said, well, call your dad and have him meet you there because I'm at work and I can't leave right now. I said, okay. So my dad met me at the emergency room. They ran some tests and then the doctors came out and said, I'm so sorry to inform you, but you have pulmonary embolisms. You have clusters of clots in both sets of your lung, like 16 clots in the left, 19 in the right. And I was like, oh, okay. I was just like, so just give me a shot, whatever you got to do, because I got lunch.
You don't even understand the seriousness of this at that point,
So ignorant. I had no idea what was happening. I was like, blood clot, isn't that the song? Like what? I didn't get it. So he said, I'm sorry, we're admitting you. You're going to be in the ICU, can't move. And then when he explained what was happening, my mouth just literally dropped. And then I got scared. I was like, I could have a heart attack at any minute. I could have a stroke at any minute. I could have an air, I didn't want to move. So I was just like, so they wheeled me up and I was in Cooper's ICU for a good week, trying to figure this whole blood clot thing out, pulmonary embolisms. And then I had to go on blood thinners at that point for the rest of the pregnancy. And then thereafter.
That was a shot every day with that, right?
A shot every day. And then my skin bruised so bad. It was terrible. It looked like I'd been abused, but it was a necessary evil if I wanted to stay alive and if I wanted to hold these babies.
Yeah, so the medication obviously works and you get released from the hospital. And like you said, you continue to be on the blood thinners and you go back to working at the restaurant. And so I think you said that was in your story, I guess around April or so. So you're a couple of months going in and then you're planning for a vacation, a wedding and just going to Jamaica. And so of course we hear Jamaica with our spouse. That's we're looking forward to that. You know, I know I would be. It's the baby moon probably. That last trip before the babies come and you're looking forward to that.
I was so excited. I was.
Unfortunately, you go back to the doctors.
Yes.
Fate yet another complication. So share that with us as well, please.
So it was already paid for. It was actually Jabbar's college friend. It was getting married. And I was ready to go. I needed a little break, like you said. And we went to the doctors, just a regular routine visit. And she was doing the ultrasound and she was just like, yeah, everything looks,
She did like that?
Yes. And I was just like, well, what's wrong? And so she said,
so unprofessional. What?
Like no type of poker face at all. Oop. And then she printed the picture, took it off the machine, said, I'll be right back. And she disappeared. And it was like it felt like 10 minutes, but it probably was only 5. But I was just like, what's going on? So she came back with the doctor and then he looked at the picture and then he did it. And then he said, oh, okay. And then he turned the screen around and showed me. He said, what I believe you have is called an incompetent cervix. You have a short cervix and then it opens and closes when it feels like basically like an elevator door. And so I was like, okay, what does this mean? What? And he said, it's very dangerous. And he said that either my cervix was it wasn't enough for them to do surgery to close it up and keep it. I didn't have enough there. So they had to basically keep watching me is what he said.
Okay.
And he said, I'm going to bring you back in about a week. And then, I'll decide what we're going to do from that point. But I was like, I have a cruise that I'm getting ready for because we're going out of the country, sir. You don't understand. And he was a great doctor, great bedside manner. He was just like, yeah, we'll talk about it next week. So he
hope you bought insurance.
Yeah, right. Did you get the insurance?
Right.
Yeah, I did. So we came back in a week and I'm hoping, everything is good to go. So we're going through the scan and he's just like, yeah, everything looks good. Oh, nope. It's opening again. You see that dark area? That's not supposed to look like that. So I was just like, yeah, but I said, I'll be good. I promise. I won't go to the restaurant. I'll lay in the bed. What do I need to do to get on this cruise? He was just like, absolutely nothing. He says, did you eat today? And I said, no, I didn't. He said, Jabbar, take her to Chick-fil-A because as a matter of fact, this is the last meal that you're going to have. I'm admitting you to the hospital. Wow. You're going to be on bed rest until November.
And this is when?
July, like at the beginning of, the end of June. The end of June. Mm-hmm. I was still ignorant to the whole, I was just like, he's kidding. I'm not going to be on bed rest this whole entire pregnancy. He's crazy. I'm not doing that. But
4 months
in the bed. Who does that? I couldn't get it together. So that was the sad news. I went to the hospital that day and Chick-fil-A was the last meal I had. It was like the last supper.
And so you're on bed rest. I was just sitting here now 4 months because your due date is my birthday, November 2nd.
November 2nd.
So I'm just like 4 months. Like
I couldn't get it together. I could not. And then on top of that, we had the restaurant. I had a dog. My grandfather lived with us. My husband had a full-time job. Like it was so many other variables.
It was so inconvenient. It was so inconvenient.
It was. This was not my fairy tale. This was not how I envisioned what was going to happen. No. So there was no pregnancy pictures. There was no walk through the park holding hands. No gender reveal. None of that.
Talk about that. So of course, when we are pregnant, we have those dreams. Now we have the gender reveal. Which I don't remember having when I was pregnant, Mine are what, 14 and 17. We didn't have the gender reveal. I don't remember. But pregnancy pictures,
social media posts, right?
Yes. Just the announcement. You got to do something creative just to announce that you're pregnant. All of those things. that we want to make sure we share with everyone, and we want to have our time celebrating that you kind of got robbed from that.
I was robbed.
Yeah.
I was robbed.
Yeah.
I felt, that's how I felt. I felt hurt. I felt he's going to be able to open the door and, you know, walk me through and watch out. No, I didn't get any of that. I was in a wheelchair in the bed for the next 4 months. And to me, it was depressing.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was my next question. How did you deal with that disappointment? Like, how did you kind of just work through, you know, again, you're on bed rest, so you're in a hospital room day in and day out.
Yeah.
So, and just not even that, just supposed to be in Jamaica. You know what I mean? Just thinking about not only maybe where I am right now, but what I'm missing out on. Yeah. Like thinking about all of those things that I missed out on.
Yep. All of that. And then, you know, you're in the hospital and during the day, things are good because the doctors are coming to see you, the nurses, it's bright in the room, sunshine, you get a couple visitors, you know, come by and say, you know, call you and that type of stuff. But at nighttime, I just felt really alone. Yeah. And it was a private room. And I felt that I was going to be able to at least, you know, get up and maybe go down the hall and visit the other pregnant women on the wing. I didn't get any of that. It was
no engagement.
No. You're in the bed. You can go to the bathroom and then you can get back in the bed. That's it. So when people came, you know, they'd ask, you know, what can I bring you? You know, is there something that I can do to help you? Like, you know, stuff like that. So I did have my girlfriend, she brought me a Hello Kitty, like a coloring book. So I said to myself, I'm going to have everybody who comes to visit me color a page. And that was the plan, to have these papers, these coloring pages with the date and the name of the people who visited me on, you know, in the nurse, in their room as, you know, support that they came to see him out in the hospital. And it was just going to be, you know, something cute. I tried to read. I remember reading the book, The Help, that summer. And then someone bought me the bootleg copy of it. And so I watched it in the hospital and it was great. I mean, I loved that movie. It was excellent. And then painting some little wooden letters for their name. That was something else that someone brought me, but I never finished that project. That was, you know, I start these projects and then they
have so many good ideas.
Yeah, I wanted to. It was a good idea at the time. Just trying to do a lot of things. Someone tried to teach me, you know, how to knit. And I started that too. But then as the days went on and on, it just got kind of dreadful, you know. And I was tired, you know, just trying to just keep myself, you know, engaged. And then I had a friend who drove for New Jersey Transit and her bus route went through the parking lot of the hospital. So we would plan it and she would, I'm coming through. She would beep her horn and I would stand in the window and wait. She'd be like, you look so depressed. Or she'd be like, show me your belly. So I pull my thing back, you know. So, and that was really like the highlight of some of my days. Because that was it. That was, and then she'd go back and then we do it. And the people on the daggone bus are probably like, who is she beeping to?
But every day, faithfully. Yeah. Every day faithfully being able to do that.
It made my day.
Wow. And you mentioned reading The Help. And I know we talked and you wrote it in your story as well. You can't watch that now.
No,
right.
It's, you know how some people or some things just trigger you to bring you back to a place. At the time it was good. It helped me. But then when I look at it now, I'm like, I just remember.
It takes you back.
Yeah, it takes me back to that hospital, that floor, the room, all of that. It's just not a happy place for me anymore. That chapter is closed.
Because you struggle with depression, right? You really did kind of, like you said, have the highs and the lows at night when everybody was gone. It was a real struggle against depression during that time.
It really was. It was tough. And, you know, I would be so excited to see people just to see them and interact. And then I think once or twice they allowed me to go down to the cafeteria. So Jabbar could wheel me down in a wheelchair, but then I had to come right back up. You know, they didn't want me because my cervix would open and close when it felt like it. And how would I explain on the elevator? I got two babies coming, you know, in the wheelchair now. Right. So I could only go down for a little bit and come right back on up. So.
And one thing I like about this show is I feel like I'm always learning, and I hope our guests are always learning about ways we can support our friends. And so I know I've had friends that have gone on bed rest, even one of my best friends. And I was thinking, I never visited her in the hospital, and she was on bed rest for months. And I think something like that, someone's in the hospital for an extended period of time, bed rest, whatever, they need to see. I mean, a text is okay, but seeing someone's face
and
visiting them makes a difference.
And
so
he did
home, from surgery, whatever, those type of things make a difference. I'm sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
It does. And he did something amazing. There was a spa, Virtu, at the time. They came and gave me like a pregnancy massage, because I couldn't get up, but I love massages. I love massages. So they came and did that for me. And that was wonderful, because I don't know when, I had my last massage, but he did it, just because.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, you're in the hospital, and we get to a point. So you're admitted. I'm just kind of trying to follow your timeline. So April was the blood clots. Then end of June was the admittance, right? And right. Identifying incompetent cervix. And so the title of your story is about labor. So, and it's a play on words, because Labor Day had significance for you, because you went into labor on Labor Day. And let's say that. Go ahead, you tell the story.
Right. So
I was it wrong. Yeah.
August 21st was just a regular, normal day. I had gotten used to a schedule. So he would work his full-time job and then leave there, go to the restaurant, work the restaurant, and then come and see me. So it's probably around 11 o'clock every night that I'm seeing him, talking to him on the phone, of course, throughout the day. But around 11 o'clock is when I would see him. But then I was also getting like a myriad of drugs during that time. So an Ambien to go to sleep, and then my blood thinners that I had to take daily. So we didn't spend much time together, because he had to get back. I had my grandfather, had a dog, he had to go and check on that type of stuff. And then he, of course, needed some sleep as well. So August 21st, they had come in and given me my shot. And I didn't feel right. Something just wasn't right. But he left and he said, I'll call you in a few when I get up the road a little bit. And I said, okay. But when he left, I tried to get up to go to the bathroom, and I called the nurse and I said, something doesn't feel right. My back really, really hurts. And I had gone to the emergency room a couple times during my pregnancy, complaining about my back. So I labored pretty much in my back, but they kept putting the monitors in the front so they wouldn't catch the contractions. So she said, get it back in the bed. I don't want you to fall. And you just took your medicine. I'll have the doctor come and check you. So when she tried to call the doctor, that doctor had just gotten called in to deliver somebody else on the floor. And so it took them a little bit to get back to me, like maybe 10 minutes. But during that time, then my back really started hurting. And so I tried to get up and go. I thought I had to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom again. And then when I got back in the bed, like I felt like a gush. And I thought that my water had broke, but it wasn't. It was my baby A's placenta had ruptured. So the doctor finally came, she checked me, and she says, oh my goodness. Oh, I'm sorry. Jabbar had gotten there. He had just gotten back and he was tired. He was tired, ready to go down, go to bed. But she said, oh my goodness, you are 6 centimeters and fully effaced. I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're going to have these babies today.
Wow.
And I had
how many weeks are you?
29. That Monday made me 29. Like I just made 29 weeks.
Okay.
And they were 2 pounds and 3.5 pounds at that time. So it was so much confusion that night. It was like something that you see on the, on the ER, the emergency room, something, lights, camera, action. It was people running, and they didn't want me to have surgery right then and there, because they had just given me the blood thinner, and the chances of me bleeding and not being able to clot were very, very high. So I think they were kind of trying to drag it out a little bit. So it was like 3 o'clock in the morning at this point. And then I think that's when they realized that baby A's placenta had ruptured, and that he wasn't getting any oxygen when they put him on the monitor. So it spun out of control again. So I got transferred to the OR, to another bed. And I just remember the room just being very, very cold. And I was telling Jabbar before, we separated, because he was upset that he wasn't going to be in the emergency room. He was like, no, I see this on TV all the time. The wife is
Dad's right there.
Yeah, she got the sheet up and I want to be in there. I want to see what's going on. So he was hot. And they were like, no, sir, this is different because she's going to be unconscious. This isn't the same thing that you see on TV.
Right,
so
right. Basically, it's emergency. It's emergency.
Right. It's an emergency,
right?
Emergency C-section, is what is happening. So they told him to get dressed. And I said, Jabbar, please don't forget your camera because I'm not going to be able to see any of this. I need you to, videotape. And so he was and take pictures. And he was just like, yeah, okay. But when he changed his clothes, he left the camera in his pants or something. I don't know. It didn't make it to the room.
You don't have any pictures.
It didn't make it. So I remember being rolled into this cold room and it was a ton of people on my left, ton of people on the right. And then I could see like the different stations for the babies. And my doctor at the time, she was a little petite woman. She jumped up like on my stomach and she said, you are going to make this. We've got this. Don't worry, blah, blah, blah. She just gave me these words of encouragement. She was so cute. So some words of encouragement. And then I remember them telling me to count down. And
how were you feeling? Were you scared at this point? Like what were you feeling right then?
At first I wasn't scared, but then when people started running around, it made my heart
making you anxious. Yeah.
Yes. Start the race. And I just didn't know what to expect at that point in time. So I remember, looking around and it was just all these people. And then they, marked my stomach and set me up, hooked me up to all these machines and then told me to count down. And then I remember laughing because anesthesia does that to me. It makes me a little crazy. And so I remember cracking up laughing and then I was out. And then I remember waking up to a lady in a bright yellow room and Jabbar sitting there smiling. But what I missed, in those 2 hours or, that I was out was, him saying that they had like 19 towels of my blood on the floor. Like it was a total show in so many words that they thought that they were going to lose me because I, had just had the medicine and I wouldn't stop bleeding. So he said that he got to see me for like a quick second, but he said he was traumatized by what he saw. And then he saw the babies and then that was it. So I did get to see them probably about 2 hours after they were born. I went up, they wheeled me up and then, I fell in love with my, my two little babies that weren't like the size of a water bottle. They were so tiny and light. And I remember whispering to him saying, hey, are these ours? Because these are not Black babies. And so the nurse was just like, oh, they'll get their color. It'll come in. That was the joke. They laughed at me, but I was serious. Like, whose babies are these? Because I'm brown. So light,
right. And he's brown skin. So
right. Somebody brown. Yeah.
So talk about those first, they're in the NICU, obviously, being born premature. So talk about, those first days of their lives.
Yeah. So the first, I don't know what it was, but I always had the notion to go and see Jihad first. He was the bigger one. He was 3.5 pounds.
He was the oldest too, right? He's baby A?
He was baby A, born at 634, and Jakai was 635. I would always rush to go see him first as soon as I walked in. And he was, I guess, a little bit more responsive. I was like, yeah, Jakai, yeah. But I don't know what it was. It just, it was always there. But then I had complications also. Forgot to tell you this. After after I had delivered, I had a hematoma, which was like a blood clot the size of an apple. And it was still there. And it was very painful. And they thought that, it was just related to pregnancy, that it was something that was just going to go away. But I mean, it felt like I was in labor all over again. Like it was terrible. So I'm in pain. I've got medication, and it was good while I was on medication. But it was when it wore off that, it was terrible. So the first couple of days we got to feed them, take pictures with them. They had on their little sunglasses. They were always covered up because of the bilirubin and, jaundice and things like that. Okay. So one of them started having issues with the feeds. And so they stopped the feeds a little bit because I wasn't able to breastfeed. And then they started up like they were kind of trying to see what he could tolerate. And, as the days went on, he couldn't really tolerate the feeds as good as Jakai could.
Okay.
So we had gone to help a friend move. This was September 4th, and we didn't get to the hospital until late that night. And the nurse that was on rotation, I hadn't seen him in a little bit. He was on vacation. He said, I don't like the way Jihad's belly looks. He said, I'm going to call the doctor. So the doctor came and she took, some scans. She said, I don't see anything on the inside, but she said, we're going to stop his feeds because it was a little distended. And I said, okay. And Jabbar looked at me like, you don't want to leave. And I said, no, I don't. He said, we'll come back here in the morning. Everything will be fine. So we went home, and it was late, but I had called the doctor because I was in pain still, and I needed some pain meds, like the prescription renewed.
Right.
And they could only do it in person. So I called the doctor, and she said, I'll be here until 7:00 in the morning. If you come up, I can give you the script and then you can go and fill it. So I said, okay, no problem. So in the middle of the night, I would say about 5:00 or something like that, the phone rang. And I thought it was her calling me back, but it was actually the NICU calling me, telling me that I needed to come back. But I missed the call, dropped the phone, and fumbled it. And then I called her back, and she said, you need to come up here right now because something's wrong with baby A, Jihad. And when I got there, so we flew up there like less than 10, 15 minutes. But when I got there and I went into the NICU, it looked as though somebody had shoved a basketball in my son's belly. That's how big and distended his belly was. And I was just like, what is this? Like, what happened? I couldn't understand. Like, nobody saw his stomach getting this big. It was huge. And then they explained to me that they believed he had a condition called necrotizing enterocolitis, which affects premature babies. Their intestines aren't fully developed. So the intestines, the lining pretty much dies, and you can't live without intestines. So what they explained to me was there were surgeries that could be performed. They could cut a piece of it and sew together the pieces that, weren't damaged, and that he would be fine. That's what was explained to me. And then it was explained to me that we want to fly him to CHOP because they have a better team, experienced team that could, treat, they would feel comfortable basically if he went to CHOP.
Yeah.
So I gave them permission to do that. And that was like at 7:45, 8:00 in the morning. He didn't get the CHOP until 12:00. I had gone, got my prescription, had breakfast, like my in-laws had, taken me around. And then I'm at CHOP sitting there 10:00, waiting, no helicopter. And then finally at like 11:59, I hear the helicopter. I'm like, geez, like what's going on? And I had called Jabbar because he had stayed with Jakai, during this time. We had separated. He said, I'm gonna just stay here with him. And I said, okay, no problem. But 12:00, he's finally getting there. I'm thinking I could have drove faster.
4 hours later, right? You could have drove, or even in the ambulance could have drove him faster than that. 40, not even 40 to get over there.
I was very, very frustrated with them. But what Jabbar didn't tell me was that Jihad had coded 3 times, and they were trying to stabilize him before they got him on the helicopter.
Okay.
So they got him stabilized. They got him to CHOP. The surgeon explained to me what they were going to do. They were going to cut his stomach open, see what they could save, sew together the parts, that the surgery was going to take maybe about an hour or so, and he'd be back. He came back in 20 minutes and said, there's nothing inside that we can save, that it has spread to his stomach, his liver, and there was nothing that could be saved. So and that's how NEC works. In a matter of seconds, like you could be good and then you're gone. So I was devastated. Jabbar was devastated. And I just remember the doctor telling us, in this little room, and Jabbar just threw his keys across the table and was just like, what? Like he went off, said some stuff. And I know this is Christian, so I'm going to leave that alone. But he went off basically. And I immediately just went into business mode. Like, okay, he said he's not going to make it. That's it. There's nothing we can do. So we had to go make phone calls to family members that hadn't even seen my son yet, to tell them to come and say their goodbyes before they could even say hello.
Wow.
It was terrible. Terrible. And this all happened on Labor Day. So while everyone's at the barbecue talking about hamburgers and hot dogs and what condiments to put on their burger, I'm having the worst day of my life. So one of my family members said, call the hospital and see how Jakai is doing. And maybe you should consider getting him shipped to CHOP because they missed it. And I said, I don't want to do that. It's inconvenient. I'm going to have to come across the bridge every single day to see him. I said, and then I thought about it. I was like, no, maybe I shouldn't. So I called and I checked on him. And they said, oh, he's fine. He's sleeping in his little incubator. Everything's good. About 20 minutes later, Tanya, no lie, they called me and said, you need to come back over here because we think he has NEC also. So the very thing that my first son just died, my firstborn just died, was diagnosed,
he's not even been going hours at this point, and you're
a couple hours. No, not even 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Yeah. He died at 3:00, and I called around 3:20 just to check on him. And they said he was fine. And then a couple minutes after that, it was, no, he's not. You need to come and sign paperwork so that he can be flown as well. That was Labor Day of 2011, the worst day of my life.
So Jakai gets flown to CHOP.
Yes. I had to go back, sign paperwork. And then I remember a lady, very good family friend of mine, going into the NICU and going off. She was basically saying everything that I could not say to the staff. You need to hurry up. She just lost her first son. You need to make this faster than you did on the first baby that died. You need to do something now. And screaming, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And then people moved. I will say that. And then I remember talking to Jakai, saying, I need you to make this flight. I need you to make it. I remember putting my hand in his hand, and his little hand, like just my pinky, that's all he could grasp onto. And he squeezed my finger, like as in, I hear you, Mom. I'm going to do this. I got you, but I remember telling him, you've got to make it. And I was so firm. I was in business mode, whatever you want to call it. It was Black Mama Bear. Like, we got to do this, and I wanted to go on the helicopter, but they wouldn't let me. And my girlfriend drove me back across the bridge. And I remember riding down 295 with her, just screaming and hollering, like, Lord, just please
save my baby.
Save him. And so he made it to CHOP. They got him stabilized. He didn't have feeds for a couple of days, but he made it. And he was the smaller one. He was 2 pounds. And he was the little one that, came into this world fighting for his life. So I knew that he had a purpose in being here.
Wow. And how old is he now? And what is he doing?
10. He is 10 years old. Yes.
Playing basketball.
And he's a piece of work, but it's like I have 2 in 1. And he knows about his brother. He talks about him all the time.
Yeah.
And I just remember just being, thankful that he made it, but in a very difficult space because, I was blessed with one, but I left the hospital, or I left my house with 2 babies and I came back with 1.
Yeah. And I thank God, one of the things you shared in your story is that God left you something kind of to give you peace. You had a vision of jihad. Would you mind sharing that and kind of what that means to you now?
Yeah. So about the 3:00, he actually died in my arms. So I put him they had him in like I don't know, I want to say an isolate, but it's just an open crib, I guess, for the family members that still hadn't seen him to come and see him. And I remember walking away and hollering like at the top of my lungs in that room, and then being in the same room, but like across the room. And it was just a vision of God taking my son in his hand, like he was walking. He wasn't carrying him. He was an older version, and he just walked him out of the NICU. And that's when I knew, I said to myself, he's in a good space. He's with the best babysitter ever. I don't have to worry. He's not in pain anymore. His stomach, his liver, his heart, all of that is okay. And that's when, I just decided God allowed it. And I had to say amen at that point.
Wow. I think there's one thing, you mentioned it before as far as Jabbar, and I want to give a shout out to Jabbar. I know I give you a lot of grief, but I love you, man. So me and Jabbar be going at it, but I do love him. But you shared, and we haven't really touched upon this, I think, in this series, but the impact that a death of a child can have on a marriage. And we talked about, and you talked about really in your blog about even already regular marriages, half of the marriages end in divorce, and it kind of increases exponentially with the death of a child. So can you talk about maybe some of the marital struggles that came from that, and how you both really had to work hard to overcome them and really kind of save and maintain your marriage and your family after experiencing this?
Right. So it was very difficult, one, because he didn't want to bond with Jakai. He didn't want to talk to him. He didn't want to really even look at him. He didn't want the closeness because we were sold on the Moore boys. You know, they're going to play. Well, we thought they were going to run track. They're going to run track. They're going to grow up together. You know, it was a one and done pregnancy. Like, this was it. But when Neck took his life so quickly, and the doctor said there's no guarantee that Jakai is going to make it, he could be in the same situation as Jihad. It was like
in a matter of seconds, or minutes, really, a matter of
exactly.
Minutes.
He put up this wall, and I remember saying to him, Jabbar, you have to talk to him. He has to hear your voice. He has to know that his dad is here, that he has to make it. You got to say something to him. And he just would not bond with him. It took him a while. And then eventually, you know, as he started to see him pick up, you know, a pound, or, you know, he was eating, you know, he was responding. Then he started to hold him, you know, to put him skin to skin on his chest. But it took a while. And I know that, you know, like the divorce rates are like 50%, but with the death, it's like 75%. But I remember us just making a pact saying, like, we've got to get through this no matter what. We say internet, nothing and no one. We don't let anything get in, and no one, you know, is going to separate us. So that was the pact. We're going to stick together through all of this, you know, this hurt, this pain. I could not grieve, Tanya. And I was still in pain. You know, I couldn't grieve. I was in pain. I got a husband who doesn't want to talk to my son that made it. You know, it was horrible. It was terrible. 2011. So
terrible that, you know, you kind of did not want to return to that place. Again, we didn't talk about it. I don't know as far as it was something you talked about with certain people or just didn't talk about it at all. But for years, you know, I can remember and I never thought about it. You would say, well, yeah, it's Labor Day, it's the anniversary. I'm like, oh, you know, obviously now I'm not going to forget. I know, like, number one, Labor Day and then my birthday. So I you know, tied those 2 days in now. But I could just remember you just like, I gotta, you know, I need the day to kind of just to deal with it.
Yeah, it did. And so I think, you know, I'm not there anymore. I don't think that it's a place where, like, I know that I'm not going to get over it, but I got through it. I'm not in those places. And when I share my story, there are other mothers who have also lost one and made one. I have a family member that lives in New York. She's an older lady, but she had a set of twins and one of them didn't make it. And one did. So there are people who share the same, you know, mark, you know, as me, but I found comfort in the stories because they made it. You know, they decided that it wasn't a punishment, that, you know, that it was more of a test, you know, and now this is my testimony because I made it through. I have a son he's my gift, you know, and I think I'm very thankful that he made it, and, you know, that God chose me to be his mom, or us to be his parents. And I'm going to definitely cherish my gift as long as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. We talk about Job. I bring him up quite often on this show. And if you don't know the story, those that don't know the story of Job, that he, you know, had so much in abundance and God took it all away. His property, his kids died, like everything. He lost everything. And through his loss, he managed to say, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And I always think, you know, no matter how bad I think things may get or how I'm feeling or what I'm going through. And I know me and you talk about being in the waiting room. We believe in God for certain things. And we joke about, you know, sitting, popping our gum and crossing our legs and having magazines while we're in the waiting room, waiting on God still. But being able to grow to a point that, you know, that's what I want to be my testimony. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Whatever he allows to happen, I have to say, we talked about it earlier, you're sovereign, and I will bless the Lord at all times. I will continue to bless him regardless of what he allows me to go with. I'm not supposed to cry tonight. So Tanya, please stop it. Get it together. But yeah, I want it to be my testimony that regardless of what you allow to happen, God, I will bless your name. Right. You know, and that really, you know, as far as this encouragement and just as faithful moms, that I just want to support women who want to be on that journey and say the same thing. We want to trust you, God, no matter what we go through.
No matter what.
We're just going to bless your name. Yes. You know, and I want to close out with you talking about in your story, and I got to get my tissue because it's coming. It's falling.
It's allergies. It's allergy season.
You talked about your life being a journey, and a lot of times we are praying for the destination we want to get to. God, I want you to do this. God, I want that. We are always praying for the destination that we want to be at, not realizing that our life is a journey, and it's a journey that has bumps and hurdles and mountains and difficulties and things like that. But through this journey, there's lessons we learned, and there's also people that we help. And you talked about this is part of your purpose now, being able to share your story and the significance of that. So talk about that and just living out your purpose now and being able to share and being able to minister now to other moms from a place that was so hurtful at one point that you could never even talk about it.
Right. A friend of mine a couple of years ago said, because believe it or not, I'm a very private person, an introvert. And also she said, I just happened to share like a little blip of the story. I've never gone into detail like that with anybody. But she said, you should really share your story, and you should, talk to people and tell people what you've gone through. They would be in shock of what you've gone through and look at where you're at right now. And I don't know. I call it business mode, but it is something in my brain that causes me, or I allow to be able to just kind of go through it and make it through, and then deal. If that makes sense. The journey has not been easy at all. Like, there are times where, grief has been debilitating. Like, I will be driving down the road, you see a set of twins, and I'm like,
the trigger, like you said.
Yeah. And it has happened, recently. You have girlfriends who have twins, or you have people who have just babies, period. I went to a doctor's appointment, and a lady walked in with two, a set of twins. And I'm thinking, that should have been me. I didn't get to do any of that. I had to return a car seat, the stroller. Like, I had to put all that back, but I'm not there anymore. I don't look at it like as why, I look at it as how am I going to get the one who survived to the next point of his life, his purpose? How am I going to help him reach his purpose in life? And that's what I do. It's a mindset shift. Wow. And I apply that to many things in my life. And hopefully, it helps somebody else. You're not always going to be there, and you weren't punished. You will get to your destination. You just kind of have to stay in your lane, because it's not crowded in your lane. If you look at somebody else's life, that's where the confusion starts. Don't compare yourself to other people. That's the joy. That's the comparison is the thief of joy. So I'm happy. God knew what I could handle. And I often think about what also helps me process this is the fact that he didn't have oxygen, for they don't know how long, like his placenta ruptured. So I could have a child with developmental delays, disabilities, and then I got this active one. How does that balance? How do I manage that? How do I cope with that? On top of my marriage, on top of being a businesswoman, I think that he gave me exactly what I could handle, and I'm grateful for it.
Wow. Jerrice, thank you. This was amazing. Thank you. And I don't know if you've told your story in totality before, but thank you. Again, for the transparency and just for sharing your journey. If no one else got blessed, I got blessed, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for your story. Rough. Yeah. So we do have some. God, I'm sorry. I was gonna say we do have some questions that if you're okay to take some questions tonight.
Sure.
Okay. First one is from Sheena Marie. Did you suffer from any type of postpartum?
I don't even think, Sheena, I had the chance to, seriously, because it was, how do I deal with, I had to have that strong front, because I didn't want to put off any type of negative vibes for the son that was trying to make it. I could only spend an hour with him every day until he came home. He stayed in NICU another 30 days. He came home on Halloween. Wow. So I didn't want to put that off on him. So I had to, fake it till I make it. You know, I just didn't want to give off those vibes at all. You know, so the postpartum stuff probably happened like years, you know, later, if that does exist, or if I allowed myself to actually grieve. But I've always had to kind of keep going. I never really dealt with it, and I probably had, everyone grieves differently, so I probably had these outbursts, you know, in the car, you know, by myself, but I didn't want him to feel that. I know he probably felt something was up anyway. You know, what happened to my roommate? My roommate.
Like, right. I've had this one next to me all this time, and now.
Right. What happened? Wow. You know, so it was rough. It was definitely rough, but I don't think that it was a total postpartum. And like I said, I didn't even go into the other stuff. I had, you know, complications after the surgery, you know, after the baby delivery. So I had to deal with me first.
Taking care of yourself so you can take care of your son.
Absolutely. And then still deal with my husband, who didn't want to bond, you know, initially. And then I'm sitting here with the baby, and he don't want nothing to do with him. And I'm like, he's not an alien. You know, you can look at him. You can give him a kiss.
Yeah, Callan just put out something. Men are scared of things they can't control. Interesting.
Yes, absolutely. And he didn't like that feeling at all. Oh my gosh. He didn't want it, because I'm telling you, the surgeon said, we'll be back in about an hour. We'll let you know. So we're thinking everything's he's going to cut. So, and we'll figure it out. He said, I can't save anything. It has spread to everything. And so he just went off, you know.
Wow. We have another question up here from Andrea Nicole. Did you engage in therapy? And if so, how impactful and or helpful was it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely had to see a therapist because I was in a space, I felt crazy. Grief is crazy, and you have to allow the grief to come, and it passes and then it comes back again. It's like a never ending fight.
Out of nowhere too. Right. It could just come out of nowhere.
It'll punch in the face. It'll sneak you. And then you just have to deal with it. You know, things, like I said, things have been debilitating on days. And then sometimes I can just talk to people, you know, and just be free with it, of, you know, what actually happened in my story. But it definitely, I felt alone in that. So that's why I wanted to talk to somebody. I didn't want these feelings to keep, you know, stay inside of me. And knowing that, you know, I had such a terrible experience, knowing that just talking about it would help me, you know, at some point get through it.
Yeah. Markeisha, are there any more questions? I'm having a hard time breathing over here. I'm just like, this is deep. This is deep. Markeisha, were there any other questions, or we just putting, I think we just comments up there. So first of all, your line sisters are out. They came out. So Soul Wars.
Wait, can we say oop? Is that
you can say oop. We love you, Source. Y'all have been representing. I've been seeing, like, the comments are coming up fast and furious. I've been seeing them, but your line represented and came through tonight. So I appreciate each and every one of you, and just others we've been seeing comments that are that are coming up. But Jerrice, I'm sorry, Markeisha, if you don't mind, I saw a comment from Karen Barnett. You know, Sister Karen just brings the wisdom every week. So if you could find just some more of her comments, I wanted to read them out loud. So the first one, statistics share that 70 to 80% of women will suffer postpartum baby blues, and 50% of women begin experiencing depression during pregnancy, and 1 in 7 women experience postpartum depression, diagnosis connected with births. Just things that we don't always talk about, you know, in terms of pregnancies, and just even this one as well. All viewers, please check out Nurture New Jersey. There is so much attention that is needed to address disparity and higher incidence of maternal and infant mortality in Black and brown women. There is a need for Black and brown doulas for delivery and postpartum, and visiting nurses and doulas to follow mothers post-delivery at home.
Yeah.
And you know that, and it's one of the, even I know for our sorority, that's one of our social action tenets of maternal health, and especially of Black and brown women as well. We know that the numbers are not favorable for the outcomes of babies and for mothers sometimes when experiencing complications during childbirth. So just very good to be aware of, to to educate ourselves and just to make sure that we are making sure our families do make it,
and the necessary help that they need. I mean, he had expressed, I'm talking about Jabbar, afterwards, how I had almost been out of here a couple of times during the pregnancy, and then at the delivery, and then I had a conversation with him about having kids afterwards, and he was just like, no, I'm not doing that. You're absolutely nuts. You don't know what it was like. It was traumatic for me. And so I had to also think about what he saw, how he was scarred, and then to lose one and then to almost lose his wife. It wasn't a good fit for him at all. So I had to, during therapy, talk about that, because I didn't want Jakai to grow up by himself. Even though he has an older brother, I just thought I wanted something, as far as
that built-in best friend.
Right.
That built-in best friend was there.
Right. But that didn't happen. God knew what I could handle, and this is it. So, but I definitely needed to talk to somebody about that, to not resent him for not wanting more children.
And being able to understand him and why he was responding the way he did as well.
Yeah.
I know that was one of, I think it was the infertility series. And just one of our guests was sharing about how she was feeling towards her husband and how he was responding. And it took them going to counseling with another couple to be able to understand why he was responding the way he was, so that before it kind of caused conflict within their marriage. So I think a lot of times even that therapy is helpful, because the way that person may be behaving or responding may be hurtful, but there may be a reason behind it, and understanding why will help that understanding and that healing.
Yeah, I needed to hear that, because I didn't understand why. I'm like, we're married, we're supposed to have kids. What's your problem?
Yeah, I did see one more question from Shira. Markeisha, do you want to put that back up? What did you look for when choosing a therapist?
She was actually referred to me as a grief counselor, and during me learning to talk to her, she had also lost a child. So it kind of hit home, and I was able to open up to her a lot faster because of that. We had a commonality, even though we didn't want that. But she was able to give me additional insight as to what this grief process could look like down the road. And then was able to also talk to, to give me insight from where he was coming from.
Okay.
So that definitely helped.
Well, my friend, my soror, my sister, thank you. Thank you so much for tonight. We'll go on Facebook afterwards, and we will say hello to everyone, because there's a lot of comments that we probably missed. I've been seeing them come through, so we will make sure that Jerrice responds to everyone. But thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And
yes, I thank you. I hope that, my story has blessed somebody, or if you know someone that can be blessed by, what I've gone through. That's why I did it today.
Yeah. And so Markeisha, put up the faithfillmoms.org. So again, her full story. So we only touched upon certain things tonight, but her full story will be posted. Her blog will be posted tomorrow on faithfillmoms.org, and the replay will be there as well. And again, if you've experienced the death of a child, we have other stories that have taken place, and we do have 2 more moms that'll be sharing their story over the next 2 weeks as well. So I invite you to come back and join us. I hope you heard something that blessed you, that changed you, that transformed you. We're looking for transformation of our thinking, of our mind, that will lead to transformation of our actions. So again, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Jerrice.
Yes. Good night, everyone.
Wonderful evening. Thank you, and good night.